Welcome back, and on today's video I'm going to be showing you how to set up your campaign. So in the last couple of videos we actually set up our phone numbers, our sales funnel, and our call disposition. And now in this video we're going to get all those key components and we're going to put it together and create a campaign so we can actually start calling. Okay, now for those of you that are looking for a dialer, reach out to Shawnie at calltools.com. She can hook you guys up with a dialer. I've been using call tools for a very long time and it's a great dialer. So if you guys are looking to get a discount, check the description below. I have Shawnie's email there so she can hook you guys up. But other than that, let's get straight to the video. So in the last couple of videos, we really broke down each of the steps and each of the components that are needed for a campaign. Like we set up our numbers, we put them into groups, we created a strategy for the numbers in the group. And what I mean by that is that we made a strategy so every number stays below 75 dials per day per number. And the reason you want to do that is because you want to make sure that your numbers are not going over 75 dials per day, because they are going to be marked as spam and you're going to find yourself constantly having to purchase numbers. So we took care of everything, right? We phone numbers, the strategies to prevent spam, we set up our sales funnel, uploaded our list. So now the only thing that's left to do is to go ahead and actually create the campaign. So we're going to go ahead and click this blue create campaign and we're going to give this a name. Now usually when I am creating a campaign, I always like to be very specific. So I would put like the location, and then I would put the date, and then I would also like to put like the list type. Okay, so location, the date, and the list type. Like if it's like a probate, high equity, a pre-foreclosure, you want to definitely specify. So, it's going to be easier for you then when you're logging in to call and start the campaign. You know exactly what campaign is what, and you're not confused. You're calling your high equities or your vacants or your probates. So definitely good to specify in the name here. Then you want to go to activate. That's going to activate the campaign, and then we're going to go to live filter. Now live filter is just where you're going to be selecting the list for this campaign. So we're going to go over here to create live filter, and you're going to do the same thing. You're going to put the location, the date, and the list type. And then you're going to go over here, click activate. And now this is a personal preference. Some people don't like to call the federal DNC numbers. However, I do. I definitely do call them. So it's up to you if you want to call them or not. I personally check this off. And then we're going to scroll over here and we're going to go to tags. Now in tags is where you're going to select the list. Because if you remember on our last video, when you actually upload the list to Call Tools, at the end, after you're done mapping out the first name, the address, and all those fields, it tells you to give it a tag name. The tag is how you're going to be able to link this campaign to that list. So every time you're starting this campaign, it's calling that list, right? Whether it's that probate list or the high equity list. So you scroll the tags and just look for your list tag. And here you can see the name and you can see how many records are associated with that. Okay. Yuma Tower Landlords, and then you can see the contacts in there. Okay, so yeah, we pretty much have the list, right, name and how many contacts that are in that list. So you would look for your list. In this example, I'm just going to click Arizona, November 3, and Phoenix. And now we're going to go scroll here, and for exclude, we're going to select last call disposition. I usually like to exclude the DNC entire contact, not interested, and yes interested. And the reason being is because anytime any of these buttons are pressed after the call, it's not going to add the contact back into the campaign. If you press this on a contact, it's automatically going to take them off. They will not be added back to the campaign. So this is really good. And I recommend that, of course, if you talk to someone that's interested, you don't want to add them back to the campaign. Same thing if you talk to someone that's not interested and they confirm they're the owner, you don't want to add them back to the campaign. and DNC entire contact. If you talk to the owner and they request that you take them off, then you DNC the entire contact because you found the seller, right? You found the owner, so you don't need to call the other numbers. It's going to stop calling every other number for that contact because you already spoke to the owner and they request that you take them off. So this is what I would put, guys. Now you're going to click save. That's going to be the live filter, helping you match the list to the campaign. And then for agent script, this is what you want your cold caller to say. So I have some, different types of scripts in here. And we're going to go here is click create. You're going to give it the name. And then you're going to basically paste your script in here. Now, one important thing to notice is you have these macros here, which is automatically going to populate the first name or the address whenever you connect to a seller on the dialer. So it's going to be very easy for you to just go off script because it's going to populate the first name and whatever field you want it to populate. So the most common fields you're going to need is first name, because of course you got to know who you're dealing with, right? First name, and you click add macro and boom, populates the first name. And then the address, because you're going to be asking if they are the homeowner, right? If they're the person you're looking for, and if they're looking to sell this address here. So these are automatically going to populate. So you will you'll put your script in here, whatever it is your script is, but you just got to make sure you populate these fields, the first name and the address, and then you want to save it. And you should be able to go here and select the script that you created for this campaign. Now you want to turn on call recording. You definitely want to. You're going to go over here to mobile phone numbers and you're going to click allow. This is going to allow the system to call mobile numbers. And now we're going to head over here to caller ID strategy. Now we created this in our last video. Actually, it was 2 videos ago where I showed you how to set up the phone numbers. I showed you how to purchase the numbers and then put those numbers in a group and then create a strategy for that group, meaning creating a rule. And the rule that I created, and let me bring this up as an example here, which we already went over this, but I'm just explaining for those of you that maybe don't know. We bought a bunch of numbers in Arizona because that's the market we're in. And then we put them in a group and we named it the cold caller's name and the city, right? And then we put 75 here on the caller ID strategy. That means that in this campaign, it's going to use all the numbers in this group and it's going to make sure that each of those numbers doesn't go over 75 dials per day. And if all your numbers hit the 75 dials per day, it's going to shut off the campaign. It's going to stop the campaign. It's going to alert you. That way you can hop back in to the manager side and purchase more numbers. That way that doesn't keep happening. Okay. And the reason you want to stay below the 75 dials per day is because you don't want to be marked as spam. So this is a very good rule that I have to mention, because if you're making a lot of calls per day, a lot of dials, you're going to need a lot of numbers for that amount of dials. Because if you're making a lot of dials and you don't have the numbers that you need, all those numbers are going to be marked as spam and you're never going to connect to anyone. So off the jump, you need a lot of numbers and you need to have this rule so you're not going over the 75 daily dials per number. Okay. And yeah, we'll save that. We went over this in detail in 2 videos ago. But yeah, you'll select the caller ID strategy, right? And then you go over here, select callee, and you'll select channels per agent. We're going to go ahead and select 3. Typically, you can play around with this, but if your list is bigger than like 5,000 records, you're going to more than likely like 5 to 6 lines at a time. Okay, so 5 to 6. I've never really used over 7, 8, 9, 10. Occasionally, like on slow days, I might go up to 7, but I'll never go up to like 8 or 9 or 10 dials at a time, because that means that you're calling 10 people, right? If we were to select 10, that means you're calling 10 people, and the first one that picks up is who you connect with, and the other people get hung up on. That's really bad, right? It's going to affect your abandon rate. You're going to be hanging up on a lot of people, and you're going to get cursed out. So definitely make sure you put the best lines per agent depending on how big your list is and how many people are going to be calling it, right? Like if you have like a bunch of VAs on one list, then you can probably take it down, right? But if it's just going to be one VA, you might want to take it up. And if the list is really big, like 5,000 records or more, you're definitely going to want to stay around the sweet spot of maybe 5 to 6, 7. And just kind of play around with it. And then we're going to click save, right? Save. Now, after you saved, boom, you should see your campaign. And now, other things that I want to mention here, if you go to members here, right, you see this little icon here. If you click members, you're going to be able to add the VAs that you want calling. And you're also going to be able to set a priority on who gets to talk to the person first, right? And if you don't want, right, if you don't want anybody, like you want to be very specific, you can just put that one person. But if you want multiple people, you can put multiple people in there and then give them a priority like 1 or 2. Okay. And now another thing, if you go over here, connectors, this is where you can add the Zillow button, the Google Maps, and I never use warm transfer, never, so I never use that, but I always use Zillow or Google Maps. And now another thing you might want to consider doing down the line is reaching out to call tools and having them set up a button that once that button is pressed, it's going to trigger Zapier. It's going to trigger your webhook. And once that webhook receives information, it's going to send it off to your CRM. That's literally how it works. And so you do want to get Zapier down the line, but it is kind of complicated to set it up. You need to know how to use Zapier. And if you're not tech savvy, I really wouldn't stress it. Just, whenever you get a seller, you manually write their name down, the address, notes, and put it in your CRM. That takes about 5 minutes. But eventually down the line, when you have a lot of VAs, you want to get Zapier and create this button that when that button is pressed, it takes all the information and the notes that were written and imports it into your CRM. Okay, so that is an option, down the line. If you want to do it now, you can do it now, but just know it's, you got to get Zapier, and you might have to hire somebody on like Upwork or Fiverr or something like that to help you out. But it's not complicated, but if you're not tech savvy, you might need to hire someone. But once again, it's not a requirement. You can definitely just write it down and manually upload it into your CRM when you talk to like a motivated seller. But of course, I've had this dollar for such a long time. I already have it, Zapier connected to my CRM and everything. And now you're going to head over to call dispositions. Now, I use yes interested, wrong number, not interested, DNC entire contact, bad number, and DNC this number. And call back. Yep, these are all the ones that you need for people that are interested, right? You talk to the homeowner, he's interested, wrong number, not interested, DNC entire contact, bad number, like an out of service number, DNC this particular number, and then call back. And that's it. You went ahead and just set up your campaign. Now, if you see why it deactivated, is because I put a caller ID. I didn't put numbers in the group that I assigned it to. That's why. But if you followed all the steps, you should not have this button. You shouldn't have this button here, this issue. I just, for example, I went over here. Well, uncheck this. For the caller ID strategy, I used Braden, and Braden doesn't have any numbers. That's why. But if I were to use this other one, because that one's already set up properly, I wouldn't have that issue. I'll just refresh. Oh, 1 second. Go in settings. Activate. And yeah, boom. From there on, you would be able to go into your agent dashboard, join the campaign, sit back, and basically start taking calls. That's it. I appreciate you guys watching this video. If you have any questions, leave them below in the comments. And if you guys are looking for a discount on call tools, I know that Black Friday is coming up. So if you guys are looking for a discount, hit up my friend. She works over there at Call Tools. I'll put her email below. Reach out to her directly and just let her know Nataly sent you, and she's going to hook you guys up with a great discount. And yeah, her email is going to be below, Shawnie at calltools.com. And if you guys have any deals, renovations, or wholesales, or even wholetails that you want me to look at, please let me know. I'm working in all 50 states. Feel free to check out jv4real.com. And thank you so much for watching.